What's going on, guys? You're listening to the RP Isaiah Show. It's me, Ron Paul Isaiah. We got co-host George Briggs. What's going on, George?
Nothing much, man. We haven't had a show in a very long time, so,
And
you know,
this is gonna be a show
RPI,
because that's
yep.
right. This is gonna be a great show. We got special guest David Taylor. He actually wrote this book called The Nuclear Bible, which is really awesome. It's some hard-hitting info about the upcoming event, the Super Bowl Sunday, and
Should we let him talk about that? Should we
we
not
will, yeah,
just
yeah. But I
yeah.
just wanted to introduce the guy, David Taylor. I've worked with him for a while, in SD, San Diego, SoCal. He's been a hardcore truther ever since. But yeah, David just introduced the book for me. What's going on, David?
Well, thanks, guys. Let's see. I guess it all starts with 9/11. I got into 9/11 truth in 2007, and I just, instead of looking backwards all the time on 9/11, I decided to kind of see what's coming next. So I kind of discovered it by chance. My love of sports and politics kind of met in a weird way, and I kind of saw the angle, and so I started researching, and the more I researched, the more I found, and so the Nuclear Bible is kind of a 14-month process of basically researching every single angle, and there's basically 49 chapters in the book, and yeah, it's kind of like a state of the art. It's basically the latest, greatest information on every single angle of this nuclear terror conspiracy.
Right, and you launched this book right before the Super Bowl, which is in I don't know, what's
Next
the
Sunday.
Super Bowl date? Next Sunday? So it's
It's
coming up, really. It's
yeah, it's
coming up.
26/11 or the 6th of February 2011. Yes, I decided to send it out to the CIA, the FBI, MI5, MI6, CNN,
Jeez.
BBC, Fox, ABC. Every single news agency in the world has it in their inbox. Every UN organization, CFR, Club of Rome, Bilderberg, any email addresses that I could find. And I've also called the Dallas Police Department and the Arlington Police Department and forwarded them the information. And I'm just doing everything that I can to get people to check it out and just to research the information. It's all in chronological order, so it's very easy for even the layman just to
Easy
skim
reading.
through. Exactly.
Right, if you
Yeah.
download, now you could download this on this website. I could put that on the description. And then you could download all, how many chapters were there? 40?
There's
49.
40. There's 49. It's in a zip file. They're all PDFs, and you can go
Right.
to thenuclearbible.com or nuclearbible.com, and you can. It's just a temporary website just to get the files out there for free. It's just trying to get as much information to as many people as possible, so that maybe we can stay it off. Hopefully, they don't pull the trigger. I personally think that the nuke is in the stadium.
So we just to refresh that the thing, the book. So the book is about you just collecting all this information, and it's pointing out that there could possibly be a nuke going off in the Super Bowl during the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, if the Simpson episode is anything to surveil with love, is any indication, it basically is going to happen on 6/11. See, the thing with nuclear terror is you need a sitting audience. The explosion is only about 30 to 60 seconds long, depending how big it is, from all the research and all the videos that I've seen. So you need a sitting audience. As with 9/11, they had one incident, then another, and then the building started coming down. So it was like a gradual audience. But with nuclear terror, you have to have really the Super Bowl, the World Cup, or the Olympics are really the only three venues. Maybe Times Square on midnight in Times Square, New York would also be possible.
So they
But
want all these fat people to watch these, to watch this and just witness them.
Well,
Witness
hey
them.
man, David, you put a really good point out there. One of the days we were talking, you're saying, when everybody is drugged up, very drunk, that's when they hit us hard, because they're just
exactly.
gonna be confused. And if it does happen, it's a really smart idea for the New World Order
Well,
to do this.
if you're going to attack an enemy, you want to attack them when they're drunk. And more than 50% of the American people will be completely inebriated on Super Bowl Sunday. And so when SWAT teams roll in and they start doing the weapons confiscation, I mean, what they want to do is they want to take away weapons. And so they want to disarm the American public. It's that time. So it's all part of a grand scheme, and Alex Jones looks like he's in on it. I'm not 100%.
Yeah, I was actually going to talk about Alex Jones. That's our next segment. We have some. We've been kind of talking about Alex. Kind of giving it with an eye with a doubt. What's really up with Alex? What do you think? And what does he have to do with this whole Super Bowl Sunday? What's your conclusion on that?
Well, I believe that Alex Jones has been sent by the Zionist globalists to basically prematurely ejaculate the revolution.
Right.
He's I hate to use that term, but people are waking up on a massive level globally, and if they can basically get it to go off before it's supposed to naturally. So if you look at Y2K as any indication, Alex Jones basically said that the Russians nuked the United States, and the late Bill Cooper had Alex Jones pegged, and that's probably why he's not around. But Alex Jones has some very interesting relationships with Hollywood individuals, and he's said enough. Basically, exactly 60 days prior to the Super Bowl, Alex Jones said he's oiling his guns. And if you look at like his rhetoric and his program that he has right now with this B for Victory, he's basically getting people into a war mentality that we need to fight, and we don't need to fight. We need to peacefully resist, just like Martin Luther King and Gandhi suggested. And violence only begets violence. So there's no violent solution. These guys have F-15s and F-18s and all sorts of nuclear weapons and stuff. There's no way you could physically or militarily overthrow the U.S. government or the globalists to have this. But what we can do is we can stop participating in their system, and at that point it begins to lose its power. So people need to quit. People need to boycott the military. There's a whole list of things. Chapter number 46 is called Real Solutions, and they're
45. Sorry, 45.
Is it 45?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I'm on an older version, but so yeah, it's Real Solutions that I believe are, there's not like Alex Jones and company. They're just pimping like that. We're gonna have some sort of a revolution and we're gonna take our country back and blah blah blah. And it's not really realistic. I mean, number one, the violence is never an answer. So, we can't fight violence with violence. So I don't know. I just encourage people to research the book themselves. Everything's in chronological order. It makes for really easy reading, and people can really understand the whole grasp of how it's been set up over the last. I think it's about a 50-year plan.
Okay.
Yeah, you never know what the globalists are up to. They could make us look like the bad guy, the patriots, the bad guy, and take our gun away. Once they take the gun away, man, then it's over for America, I think. What were you gonna say, George?
And it's good, nice talking about AJ and Zionists and stuff. But do you want to briefly talk about the evidence that you put forward in this book?
Yes.
Just briefly,
Okay.
For the key ones.
The key evidence. Well, what I'll do is I'll just, if you don't mind, I'll just skim through the chapters and just kind of give you a brief take on it.
Go for it.
So basically, I understanding like how much information this is, I really couldn't leave any part out. I think it all fits together in crystallizing the picture to see what's going to happen. So the first chapter is called The Inside Scoop, and it just gives the who, what, when, where, how, and why of what's going to happen. And then it goes into the news. So basically, I have not every single piece of nuclear terror news, but since its inception in 1992, when they started talking about Osama bin Laden, getting a nuclear weapon, and everybody knows Osama was CIA. So it starts there, and it ends in Davos, Switzerland last weekend. Basically, they're saying that the loose nukes will fall into terrorist hands. It's basically a done deal. And so I basically chronologically, it's probably the biggest chapter in the book is basically the news, and you could see how it's intensifying over the years. Then from there, I go into research. This is all your think tanks, Rand Corporation, Harvard, Yale, excuse me, not Yale, but Harvard. There's a lot of different think tanks, ISIS, even like military commissions and congressional researches into nuclear terror. So you can see what all the alleged professionals are talking about. Then I jump into the books, all the authors that have been writing about nuclear terror, and I basically chronologically organize that so you can see how it's intensified over the last couple years as well. Then I go into the movies and show how that's the marriage between nuclear terror and the Super Bowl was actually made in The Sum of All Fears, which is a book that was eventually turned into a movie. Right. Ironically, it was filmed before 9/11, but was released right after 9/11. It was sat on the shelf for a year and a half. So whatever, it was just, that's very interesting to me because it's like, okay, first we have to have 9/11, and then we're going to inject the fear of nuclear terror. That's the next step. So I thought that was interesting. Then I go into nuclear terror TV, which is basically all the nuclear explosions on TV, and then I go into all the nuclear detonations in movies with nuclear detonations, even though they don't have a nuclear terror plot. And there's just maybe 100 movies. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So we've been basically programmed systematically for the last 50 years that when a nuke goes off, it's the end of the world, and that's when Armageddon is. Basically, they tie in Armageddon with nuclear terror. Then I go into the video games. There's hundreds of over 100 video games with nuclear weapons being used. So all the young kids for the last 20 years have been playing this stuff. And
like Fallout. Fallout's one of those games.
Yeah.
It's like, after the nuclear explosions and, all that stuff, exactly. The life after it, and it's all crappy.
Exactly. So we've been programmed via the movies and music. Also, that's a chapter on music with Jay-Z and Linkin Park. It's all about nuclear weapons going off. And these are two of the most popular artists in the world. So the setup basically is there. We've been programmed that when this bomb goes off, that it's mayhem and chaos and the end of the world. From there, I go into the actual quotes by these people. And that's one of the most interesting chapters because I had a guy write me from We Are Change today, and he said, is there any other evidence that this is going to happen? Is anybody else talking about this? And I'm like, yeah, they've been talking about it forever. And they're all saying the same thing. When a nuke goes off, the Constitution will be suspended and martial law will be instituted. And they're all saying the same thing, that Al-Qaida will get a nuclear weapon. It's not a matter of if or when. And most interesting, I find, is that the nuclear weapon that was detonated over Hiroshima was on the 6th of 1945, of August 6th, 1945. This is Super Bowl 45, and if the nuke goes off, it'll be the 6th. So Nagasaki was bombed on the 9th of August. So for whatever reason, they like the 6th and the 9th. So I'm predicting that if a nuke goes off at the Super Bowl, that on the 9th of either February or March, possibly March, which March 9th happens to be Ash Wednesday. And I believe that the second nuke will detonate in Washington, D.C., because they need to move the capital of the United States to Denver, which is the new capital of the North American Union. And so that's kind of my take on that. And yeah, if you guys want, I can continue on with the chapters.
Yeah, we're actually going to continue on, but we have to take a break. And then we're going to re-put that into the movie, or into the video.
Sounds good.
All right, we're back. So we were just talking about with David the background and the history behind the nuclear terror and the hyping of it. And now we're going into, like, the background of it, the setup. So how's it going to go, David? What's going on?
Well, just to jump in right there from where we were before. Basically, one of the scarier chapters in the book is called Nuclear Terror Drills, and this is basically where the last 2 years there's been probably at least, I don't know, I can't tell you offhand how many there actually were, but how many were actually reported is about, I don't know, 60, 70, I'm guessing off the top of my head, but major drills all across the United States. So basically, they've been getting all the police, fire, medical people, all getting ready and all working together. So you have the local, state, federal, all working together. And basically what it means is that the local state will submit to the federal, basically, and do what they want. But they've been having these really scary drills. So that's a really interesting chapter, because just like 9/11, they had drills practicing everything. And just like Sarah Palin's, says, drill, baby, drill. That's what they're talking about, possibly. So it's quite interesting. Then from the drills, I go into all the legislation and summits of nuclear terror and how it's intensified over the last couple of years with Obama at the nuclear terrorist, maybe a little pun there, but basically Obama saying that nuclear terror is the greatest threat to America, and all these recent summits basically getting it into the minds of people that nuclear terror could happen. And then I think one of the most interesting chapters in the book is, which I think is revolutionary in itself, is the U.S., EU, and Israeli nuclear proliferation. So while they say that all these Middle Eastern countries are nuclear threats and they're going to use nuclear weapons, the only state to use a nuclear weapon looks like the United States and Israel. So there's so much evidence of nuclear bombs being lost and in plane crashes and radioactive leaks at different plants and off submarines. And I mean, just the history of so many of them. And most interesting about that is that most of them happened on the 11th or the 26th. And what I did in this book was I highlighted the 11th and the 26th, like dates that events happen and articles that are published. And I think that makes it even more interesting because that's the date of the Super Bowl. So from there, basically I compare the Israeli nuclear proliferation and EU proliferation with that of Pakistan, who is the scapegoat. So when the nukes go off, they're going to blame Pakistan. And that's the key here in this setup, is that every single terrorist attack in the last 30 years has some tie to Pakistan. 9/11, World Trade Center 93, 7/7, Madrid, the underwear bomber. I mean, the shoe bomber, every single one has a tie to Pakistan. So
they're going to be the scapegoat.
Exactly. And so it looks like the U.S. This is just a prediction. This is not based on this is just my prediction based on my research. I predict that the U.S. will retaliate against both Pakistan and Iran, and Iran will be the country that didn't do anything. And so just like Germany was crucified on the globalist altar after World War II, so will America because of their preemptive attack. So
see, all these world bankers and these New World Order Zionists, what they're doing is they're just island hopping, kind of like using, one country as a vehicle, and then next, so our country, America, is just like disposable for them.
Exactly.
They do their dirty work, and maybe the next thing is the final thing, but we don't know what's gonna happen. But man, this stuff is really hardcore and hard hitting, and it's really packed with good factual stuff.
Yeah,
So,
and
I recommend everybody to check it out. Look at the head bulletins first, and then, check out the whole thing.
yeah, definitely.
But what do you think, David?
Well, I think everyone should go to thenuclearbible.com or nuclearbible.com and just download it and print it out if you can, because if the internet goes, so too may your inbox. And if Egypt is any indication, they already pulled the internet there. So it's imperative that this information gets printed as well as downloaded so that people have a physical copy. So when shit goes down, God forbid that it does, but if it does go down, that we can actually bring these people to justice. Because a lot of these articles that I have, they're online articles. They didn't necessarily show up in a newspaper. So it's important that people have a physical copy of the Nuclear Bible. And also, there's also the last chapter is a nuclear terror survival guide. So
is that right?
Important. That's right. So this book is all inclusive, and so that's in case stuff does go down. People have some sort of information on what to do in case of a nuclear attack.
Which chapter is that, by the way?
It's chapter 49.
49. Okay, cool.
But if you want me to continue with
Yeah.
Pakistan, basically the next chapter is basically the Pakistan ISI CIA Blackwater connections and how these intelligence agencies are creating terror in Pakistan as well as in the United States, and it kind of shows like the real inner workings of the CIA and Blackwater and the ISI, and it kind of shows a lot of different articles of how they're basically who the real terrorists are. And from there, I jump into what's really going on in Pakistan right now, and it's basically World War III there, from assassinations to university bombings to drone attacks. I mean, this is the worst place on earth right now. And they're basically with the floods going on, and they're basically enraging the Pakistani people. And there's a lot of Pakistanis. I believe, let me just double check here, the population of Pakistan, but it's, I believe it's over 100 million people, or no, excuse me, way more than that. It's basically, I think it's 800 million people, but I'm not sure. Let me just check really quick. But
it's more than American population.
Oh no, excuse me. It's 170 million people.
Okay.
Which is a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people there, and it's a nuclear nation. So you have to ask yourself, why is the United States provoking a nuclear nation? I mean, this isn't some... I mean, they have a big military. And then and the crazy thing is that they're selling them. Here they've committed, allegedly, all these terrorist attacks. They're the greatest nuclear proliferator on the planet. This AQ Khan, this Pakistani scientist, supposedly sold nuclear secrets to almost everybody in the world. It's like a 7-Eleven. Just
wow.
Everybody that wanted them came in. And so here it's the greatest nuclear proliferator, the greatest alleged terror proliferator, and the U.S. is selling them weapons, like repeatedly, F-16s, drones. And so it's kind of like, oh, okay. And so they're looking like they're going to smash the two together. And then from there, we go into where are these nukes going to come from? And that's one of the most interesting chapters as well, is that it's called Nuclear Hijack, Top Secret, when these 6 thermonuclear, 150 kiloton thermonuclear weapons were shipped from Minot Air Force Base in North Dakota down to Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana, which is interesting. It's only a couple hundred miles from the Super Bowl. And there's at least 10 that we know of military personnel and really high up ranking individuals that have died around this cover-up. And they've never been recovered. And so from there, I go into nuclear dictator Barack Hussein Obama. He's basically... he's like a bipolar nuclear dictator. Like on one side, he's saying like we basically need to eliminate the world of nuclear weapons, but he's spending more money on nuclear weapons, but we don't have enough money for the nuclear forensics. So if a nuke goes off, they've already said we don't have the forensics to tell where it came from. So go figure out one. And then another interesting chapter is sports hero Barry Soetoro. For those people that don't know that are listening, Barack Obama's real name is Barry Soetoro, and this guy is like a sports hero. I mean, he's out there, in baseball uniforms, pitching. I mean, he's playing football. I mean, this guy's like had every single major league franchise, it appears, at the White House. He's kicking it with LeBron James. His gay lover, Reggie Love, is a former Duke player. And or allegedly, and he's a interesting guy. But in order for them to nuke the Super Bowl and for him to feel bad about it, he has to be a really big sports fan, and that's what he's letting the world know. And there's even a journal article in there from the Wall Street Journal that says Barack Obama sports president. That's the headline, I think. And so he's been basically he has a presidential bracket for March Madness and NCAA basketball. He's given us his take on instant replay and college football playoffs. I mean, this guy spends more time watching ESPN than he does, looking over like important information at the White House. I mean,
it's a joke. Yeah,
it's a joke. But
so what's up with this whole Obama Super Bowl party chapter 34?
Well, I'm getting there, but basically, Obama is having a huge Super Bowl party every year, and it's not like he's kicking it with like LeBron James or like Jay-Z or something like that, like some people that he admires or whatever. He's kicking it with all the top cabinet officials. So number one, why are they working Sunday? And number two, what are they getting ready for? So this will be his third Super Bowl party, and third time's a charm maybe. And it's very eerie because he has people from the UN there. He has the head of the EPA. I mean, he's got like all the top cabinet officials that would deal with the nuclear terror attack, and he's going to have them. They're from all ethnicities, all backgrounds. So he's going to stand there, and they're all going to stand behind him and say, "We thought this day never came, would come," and all this stuff. It's too cliche. It's like 24, man. It's like, I don't know if you guys saw that terror
It's all propaganda, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very interesting. But I think the most damning chapter in this entire book is Blackjack, and Blackjack basically is the plan for the North American Union, for the nukes going off. And interestingly, one doesn't go off in Texas, but they pick 6 other U.S. cities along with London. And
right. This was a few years ago, right? With the Blackjack.
Exactly. And
everybody was getting hyped up over this.
Exactly. And if you add the numbers of the dates of the Super Bowl together, you have Blackjack. If you take 2, 6, 2, and 11, you get 21. So that's why it's chapter 21, Blackjack. But
interesting.
So and maybe Obama is Blackjack. I mean, who knows? So of course they're going to blame the nuke on a black guy. I mean, come on. These people used this divide and conquer mentality, and if America gets nuked under a black president, it's going to do a lot of terrible things for race relations. And interestingly enough, February is Black History Month. So it's these people have been planning this for a very, very long time. From there, basically, we go how it's going to happen. So we have the nukes. There's 6 nukes missing. We have basically their dream, or what I call it is nuclear porn. Blackjack is basically like their plan. And then I go into the terrorism in Mexico that's increasing every day, to America, all the homegrown terrorists that have been arrested in the last couple of years.
Al-Qaida.
Yeah, exactly. And then Texas. I mean, Texas is terror central. I mean, they even had a football franchise there called the Texas Terror. And it started with JFK. You had the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You had the Charles Whitman, the shooter there. You had the Fort Hood. You had the Joe Stack attack. You have the fearmonger, Alex Jones from there. I mean, Texas is terror central. And then from there, I basically go to sports, like how the increasing amount of terrorist attacks at sporting events over the last year is just staggering. And you have the World Cup bombing. You have all these different events on soccer fields and stadiums. People are getting mowed down, with machine guns. And it's just they're setting it up to tie it, eventually to the Super Bowl.
What's up? So I'm sorry. What's going on with the whole mowing down with the machine gun part?
Oh, there was just like in South America, there was guys were playing football, and some guys jump up with guns in a truck and just kill, I think, I don't know, the 7 or 13 people. I mean, just the fact is that all these attacks are happening around the world at sporting events in the last couple of years. I mean, it started with the Olympics and that whole deal in the past, but I give the history so people can see how it's increasing and more and more and more and more. And
David, we got to go on break really quick, but is it fine if we come back?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Sorry about that, guys. The recording thing stopped, but we're back. So we were talking about, David, we were talking about
terrorism in sports.
Terrorism in sports, right.
So the next chapter is chapter 26, and that's basically NFL human sacrifices. And at first people might be shocked, but if you look at the NFL, there's been a rash of strange deaths on strange dates that all coincide with the Super Bowl, or not all of them, but a lot of them do. And a lot of them are very mysterious and outright murders. And it looks like the NFL has basically eliminated individuals that have served in the U.S. military and are also NFL players. and also the death of Pat Tillman and a lot of other individuals that are outspoken people have been eliminated. And like I say in the chapter, you know, some of these things we can't prove, but they look very, very suspicious. And when taken all together in the context, for example, 4 Denver Broncos players have died in mysterious ways.
How many years span?
In the last 4 years.
Okay.
So it's like kind of crazy because it's like they're giving up blood sacrifices to the new capital or something like that. I'm not sure. You know, I'm not into their satanic cults and stuff, but I basically detail like what happened. And from there I look at the NFL and company, like who is the NFL? And if you look at who Roger Goodell is, the commissioner, he's married to Jane Skinner, whose father was Sam Skinner, who was in the Bush White House, George H.W. Bush, Bush 1. So, and Roger Goodell's first interview as commissioner is the most interesting interview, I think, in the book, because he says, I can just read you this if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
He's talking about something that's going to happen, and he says, this is his first speech. So just in 2006, he says, I think we got a lot of challenges to face, and that's the good news, is that we'll face them together with 32 owners that are focused and prepared. Because I think the process allowed us to talk a lot about those issues and what we need to address those together. So it's like, what is the NFL going to face, and how are we going to face them? You know, it's like he's giving a little bit of a hint that there's some big stuff coming down the road, and he's basically that guy. So I think you know, it's like the same. It's like the ties, the Bush ties to Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. The fact that there's no terrorism insurance on the Cowboys and their stadium. They're one of 4 teams with no terrorism insurance. These are things that should be quite alarming.
Well, you would think they would have max insurance on that, just like what's his name, Silverstein, right?
Yeah,
I think
but
so.
I think that they're going to get sued by like 100,000 people. So the NFL will go bankrupt. So
who knows, man? I mean, this is some really intriguing stuff.
And then from there, you look at like Bono, like who's going to benefit. And the NFL wants to go international. And should a nuke go off, they're going to be a household name overnight. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the biggest pieces of evidence is the next chapter, which is the lockout of the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, and the National Hockey League all at the same time. I mean, isn't that a quinky dinky, huh?
Wait,
they're all football, basketball, baseball.
Oh, for
and
2011,
hockey.
right.
Yeah. So
yeah. Can you go in detail on that? That's a very interesting topic in chapter 29.
Yeah. So they're basically like, I mean, no one's going to want to go to a stadium after a nuke goes off. So they would
kind of like 9/11. No one wanted to ride the plane.
Exactly. But this is going to be worse because people are going there for entertainment, and they're going to have that flash, that image in their head of that mushroom cloud. So they're going to avoid the stadiums in droves. So basically there's going to be no seasons. And people are going to boycott basically out of fear. So they conveniently all simultaneously are all having upcoming lockouts. So if that's not a clue that something big is coming down the road, then I don't know what is. And isn't it interesting that they're all doing it at the same time?
Right. Wouldn't that benefit them though, for them to, because the NWO, don't they want the people to be procrastinating? You know, don't they want those people to indulge in entertainment, and for them to eliminate those, outlet sports?
Well, for the long run, yeah, but like...
Yeah, but basically they'd be paying all their stars millions of dollars to show up, and there'd be no one watching. They might watch from TV, but they're not going to go to the stadium.
Right.
I mean, there'll be some people, diehards, that are going to go anyway, but the point is that they don't know what's going to happen. And so that's their convenient way of basically saying, okay, well, as soon as like they see that people have an interest in going to the stadiums, and they can just, we figured out our labor negotiations. Oh, we figured out the stadium contracts. Oh, okay, we're back in business. But the point is they're taking it off because they know something's coming. Then from there, basically, I go into the dates, targets, and scenarios. I look at the World Cup being target number 3, the Olympics being target number 2, and the Super Bowl being target number 1. And Obama's Super Bowl party, we talked about that. He's having all the cabinet officials over, getting ready for God knows what. And then I go into the foreshadowing of the Super Bowl 2011, like the commercials. And Nike is running a boom commercial. Boom.
2010 or 11?
2011. And Nike's running a boom commercial. GMC's running a never say never. Bud Light is running, what is it? Here we go. And Budweiser is running 2 commercials that are very, very interesting. They ran in the playoffs, and they're going to conclude in the Super Bowl. And they have an old West scene where an outlaw walks into a bar, and it's like all quiet, like, you know, typical like old West movie. And he's got like 2 guns on him, and he walks in, and the commercial like stops right before something happens, says concludes at the Super Bowl. And another one is where you have the Clydesdales running through the desert, the beautiful Clydesdale horses, Budweiser horses, and there's a big, huge scorpion waiting with his tail shaking, and it also is going to conclude at the Super Bowl. So there's so much more. I can't cover it all, but it seems very interesting, to say the least.
I mean, so what are you going to say to the people if this doesn't happen? What are you going to say to the people? Like, I wish it doesn't happen. I'm praying to whatever that's up there that this does not happen. You know, I hope it doesn't happen. Your predictions are false.
Yeah.
But I mean, if this doesn't happen, are you afraid that you may lose credibility, or like what do you think about that?
Well, yeah.
Not at all. This conspiracy, like I said, is about 30 to 50 years old, and it needs to be exposed. So if they don't do it, for me, it's a huge victory. I personally am like 99.9. Actually, I know they're going to do it, whether I wrote the book or not. I believe they're going to do it, I don't know that for a fact, because right now we have people all around the world that are trying to get this information out. So
right.
if enough people are expecting it, and people start boycotting, and people start saying, we know what you're going to do. I mean, I'm not done. I encourage everybody to call the police department in Dallas and Arlington and all around Texas and other police departments around the nation, and just forward this to police chiefs everywhere. Because once people take a look at this, and if people start calling and be like, oh, no, you don't, feds. You're not going to nuke the Super Bowl. No. And it's when the players start finding out, and they're not going to want to show up, there ain't going to be no game. It'll be a dream for me.
That would be really tight, man.
But let's just talk about at the actual day, the Super Bowl day. I believe that I believe personally that the nuke is likely in the stadium. An electrician died in the process, and he was probably hooking it up. He was probably knew too much information. But interestingly, I think that there's been 6 Pakistani drones that have allegedly crashed in Pakistan, and not only had that, but the U.S. has given drone technology to Pakistan along with drones. So I believe that it's going to be a nuke in the drone, allegedly, but the nuke will actually be in the stadium, like 9/11. It'll just be a decoy.
But you're saying a drone, they're going to fly the drone all the way to Pakistan to the U.S.?
No, I believe, well, actually, it's possible, but I believe that they'll say that it was launched from Mexico. Just yesterday, they found allegedly an Iranian suicide book in the Arizona Mexican desert. And there's like all these, like, they're setting it up, you know, these are great script writers, you know. But I believe that they want to make sure that everybody's watching. So there's going to be some event that happens where people are all freaked out. So when everyone dies, they're in fear.
Problem, reaction, solution, right?
Exactly. So if the nuke just goes off and nobody in the stadium is fearful, it's different. You know, these people are sick and twisted, you know. And I just believe that that's the unconventional means whereby they will do it. But interestingly, what movie is going to be in the theater that time is The Green Hornet. So what do hornets do? They sting. So I don't know. maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I don't think so.
So let's just wrap it up. We got a couple minutes left in the show, but
And you wanna, yeah. So, in order to wrap it up, would you like to cover some of the solutions that you offer?
right.
Well, yeah, for sure. One solution is for people not to listen to Alex Jones because he's going to betray the American people. He's going to try to get them to riot after the Super Bowl. That's really key. What I really would like to cover is the bio attack. Just like 9/11, there was a bio attack coming after the terror attack, and this one's going to be in Chicago. Rahm Emanuel left the White House to go to Chicago, and they're practicing the exact same drill of basically a plane crashing into the Sears Tower, which Larry Silverstein owns, who own the World Trade Center towers. So that's going to be the follow-up attack. But yeah, I would like to also talk about the Zionists, the unusual suspects that are really in charge of America. That's really interesting. But
Okay, well, before we get to that, let's just take another break, and we'll do that.
Okay, great.
All right, we're back. Sorry about that. So you were, David, you were about to go talking about Chapter 43, the unusual suspects, right? Unusual suspects.
Basically, Alex Jones is basically going to try to get the American people to fight the police and the military, and those aren't the enemies. The enemies are the people that have basically hijacked our country, and they're from a Middle Eastern country. And so why they get us to hate Arabs, the people in control are Zionists. And, whether it's Nazis or Zionists, if you're murdering, torturing, and killing and maiming, it's wrong. So basically, the United States State Department, Pentagon, White House, Hollywood, the media, they're all Zionists. They're all run by Zionists. So it's imperative that people know who did 9/11, who did the USS Liberty attack, and who did the nuke at the Super Bowl. So that's really important for me to explain to people. And just going over the solutions, the first one that I put is pray. People need to pray, whether it's Allah or God, whatever, but there's only one creator. It's just to pray and to get your mind right, and by eating well and drinking good water. And I go through a lot of different things where, you can only really control what you can in your own environment. We can't personally stop the nuke at the Super Bowl, but we can take steps to basically better ourselves and basically better humanity. And it's not something like there is no like one perfect solution. It's just little decisions every day that change the world. So that's kind of like my take on it.
Sounds good, man. Yeah, definitely must check it out, man. Super Bowl's coming up pretty soon, so.
So, final question from me, at least. So what do you say to those, those obvious haters that kind of want to debunk your book and your information? And obviously, we all know that it's in good intentions. And so what do you say to them?
Well, haters want to hate, and that's what they do. And I just say it like this. The book is triple sourced, and it's not saying 100% for sure that there's going to be a nuclear attack, but it's 99.9% sure. But if people want to hate, that's okay. There's always going to be those type of people. But I think the information speaks for itself. And so far, the reviews that I do care about are intelligent people and professors that have read the book. And so far, so good. So, and what's really crazy is that, there's always going to be, detractors out there. But the book is so powerful in the sense that it's basically a written record that's now been disseminated all across the earth. So whatever happens, whether it happens or whether it doesn't happen, there's a record of what their plan is. And that's important. So, if whether or not the book sells or whether or not it happens or not, it's really irrelevant. It was basically a work of love. I spent really 14 months of my life just busting my ass on it. And I think that truth doesn't need to be validated by ignorance. So there's people out there that are going to hate on anything that I do, and that's okay. But I think that my intention was good, and my intention was pure to stop this attack. And And what some people on Facebook or the haters want to say is it's really irrelevant to me. The people that matter to me in my life, all appreciate it, and so it's kind of a moot point. But I do want to say one quick thing that before it slips my mind. The Chicago bio attack, Rahm Emanuel, father's a terrorist. They ran a drill, like I said, in Chicago for a plane crashing into a building with a biohazard, a bio attack happening. And interestingly, on the 27th of this month, January 27th, nerve gas, VX nerve gas, if you remember the movie The Rock, it was VX nerve gas that with the Ed Harris and stuff had on the island in San Francisco. But anyway, it's been hijacked from Utah military base.
No
as
way.
Of 2 days ago, yeah. So,
Jeez.
yeah, so everything's come, and that's in the nuclear Bible.
All right.
So,
well, you put that in the last minute, didn't you?
Yeah, that was last minute. There was 4 articles that went in last minute. Actually, I can read them to you. But there was the one with the VX nerve gas getting hijacked from Utah military base. There was okay. This is the headline is this is the actual headline from Fox. It says missing nerve agent causes base lockdown at Utah Army base. That was the 27th of 2011 of January. And the other one is nuclear watchdog chief warns of nukes falling into hands of terrorists. That's from the Davos summit. And Iranian books celebrating suicide bombers found in Arizona desert. That's also from the same day. So yeah, those made it into the book, and even some information I couldn't get into the book is like all these different TV shows, the Big Bang Theory, Flashpoint, Human Target, Lights Out, Lone Star. I mean, these people, it's really interesting how much play there is on the words and putting into the psyche of the American people prior to the attack. And the movies that will be in the theater is The Mechanic, The Right, and The Unknown, and the Green Hornet. So we have the right to attack them because they attacked us. The Green Hornet, maybe a drone, Pakistani drone. And the Mechanic, they're going to need, the Mechanic is going to be, they're going to blame it on Arabs, terrorists, but basically they're going to need a German mechanic. So they need to, further demonize the German people, and because no one's going to buy that some Arabs in a cave made a nuke, So they're probably going to get it from Pakistan or something, but they're going to have to, a German scientist is going to be the one that helps them out. That's what I think. And that's also from, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe that's from the book, The Sum of All Fears.
All right.
So I don't know. There's so many different points, and I know if you take one of them alone, it's like, well, that's not proof. There's no proof. But if you take them all in context and you put them all
It fits
together,
right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all lining up for this.
Yeah, it points towards that direction, and that's what scares me the most. And just
And
real
wait.
quick. Oh, sorry, George. Were you gonna say something?
Oh yeah, I know I said the last question was my final question, but I want to talk about the nuke itself. So if it does happen, and who's going to be affected by it? I mean, we talked about it, and yeah, I want to see how much of it, is it, you said 1 mile radius?
We never
Well,
know how big the nuke.
A lot of it depends on how big it is. Yeah, exactly. So if it's a 150 kiloton nuke, let's see. Let me just check here. I think it's going to be a lot more powerful than the ones in Japan. I think it's going to incinerate probably about, at least within a mile or two. I think there's going to be nothing. Interestingly, George W. Bush is the chair of an organization called Slant 45, and they're bringing in 20,000 children into the stadium.
What?
Yeah, so it looks like it's a human child sacrifice is also going to
Some
happen.
Bohemian Grover stuff, huh?
Yep. And so when you look at the ties between the NFL and the Bush family and the ties between the Bush family and Jerry Jones, and that's why I think that this stadium was actually built for this event. So you're going to see Jerry Jones, you're going to see the commissioner, you're going to see a lot of celebrities, and ironically, it's called the 2-minute warning. That means there's 2 minutes left in the game, and that's when I believe those people will exit the building through elevators and probably take an underground train to probably the Fort Hood military base and escape. And then when the nuke goes off, they will have been, they'll say they died, but they'll probably be, on some tropical island. But the point is that the stadium, I believe, was built. This is a $1 billion stadium. It's a brand new stadium. So I believe that it was built for this occasion.
By the way, did you send the nuclear Bible to Alex Jones?
Of course.
You get any feedback? Of course not, right?
Oh, no.
Like all the time. Yeah, my last question. I just wanted to know what you think of what's going on in Egypt. What do you think's going on?
Well, Webster Tarpley was on Russia Today, and he basically said that this has been a plan since 2008. And like I said at the beginning of the interview, he says basically that there's documents that have been released that show the U.S. is funding this protest 100%. And so this has been since 2008 a plan to basically enrage these people. And so what I think it's all culminating towards the attack. So over the next week, 6 days now, roughly, it's going to be increasing, and you're going to start seeing events happening all across the Middle East. It's going to be kind of like a domino effect. So they're going to try to make Europe and America feel like there's like this huge Islamic revolution, right? And then on top of it's going to be this nuke.
Interesting. Wow, man. I mean, I hope you're freaking wrong about this, man, because it's scaring me a bit, getting me nervous. But we'll see. We'll see on Sunday, man, and hope to God, hope to whatever up there, that this doesn't happen. And yeah, that's all I can say. But good job on the book, man. A lot of research, and a lot of time into it.
I appreciate the love, and people can download a free copy. Go to nuclearbible.com and just get it and get it out to police, to call up talk shows, Rush, Hannity, Savage, Jones. They're probably not going to let a lot of people on the air this week. If they're all in, whoever's in on it's not going to let people talk about this. And try to, just get in there on the internet and post it into chat rooms and blogs and just keep it going and call the police departments. I mean, really, get on the phone and just say, hey, look, I just want you guys to check this out.
And people can get your email. If they want to contact you, they can get your email through the website, I believe, right?
Yeah, it's davidchasetaylor@yahoo.com.
Yeah, and we will link the people up to your website so they could download. And is it a simple download process, or what's the deal?
Yeah, there's two zip files. There's part 1, part 2, and there's 25 chapters in each, roughly. So it takes about 2 minutes to download, and it's all in PDF. I encourage people, like I said, to print it and just so there's a record of it, and just to spread it to your family. And if you have friends in Texas, tell them to get the hell out of Dallas.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Anyways, man, death to the New World Order. Long live Republic, man. Thanks for the info and thanks for the book. I appreciate it.
Likewise.
You, David.
Guys take care.
You guys too. You too. All right, bye-bye.